There are a few pitfalls you need to be aware of when you're putting up a shelf. Today I'm going to tell you what they are and how to avoid them so you can be confident your shelf will stand up to its job and stay up on your wall. My name's Mark, welcome to Artisan Woodworks. So you've got your shelf and you're ready to put it up, but you're not quite sure how to go about it. What about pipes and cables that might be in the wall? Which kind of wall plug should you use if the wall's plasterboard with a cavity behind it? What about if it's brick? By the end of this video, you'll know everything you need to know to be really confident about putting up shelves anywhere in your home.
Then they'll be shelf-confident. I'll get me coat.
Before we get started, let's talk about the tools you'll need for this project. First, you need a drill with a 6mm masonry bit, a level to ensure your shelf is straight, a screwdriver or a drill driver, 40mm wood screws, universal wall plugs, a hammer, a measuring tape, and a pencil for marking your measurements. So once you've got all your tools ready, the next step is to check the wall for any pipes or cables which might be hidden behind it. This is crucial for your safety and also to avoid damaging any plumbing or electrical systems that might be hidden out of view. To do this, you can use something like this. This is designed to detect metal or electric currents buried in the wall. I've had this Bosch one for a number of years now. I think they still sell them. They're brand new now, they're about £45, which isn't cheap, but it's a lot less than getting a plumber or an electrician out because you've drilled for a pipe or a cable. Okay, so to use this, all you do, switch it on, get a green light, put it up against the wall and run it along, and there we are, nothing hidden in the wall there, so we can carry on drilling. So now you've checked for pipes and cables, the next thing to do is decide whereabouts on the wall you want your shelf to be. I've put some tape here just because I don't want the shelf any lower than that. Because it's a white wall and I don't really want to put pencil marks all over it, I've just put some tape on there to remind me not to go below that line. So now we're ready to mark the wall. We've got our shelf. The shelf fixings on this one, if I turn it round, so that hole there is 30mm in from the end, and there's one the same at this side here, and it's 70mm up from the bottom. This piece of blue tape there, I've put it up to mark the centre of where I want the shelf to be. So first, a bit of basic maths. So the shelf itself is 450 wide. The holes are 30mm in from either end. So that gives a space between the two of 390. Divide 390 by 2, that's 195. So my hole needs to be 195mm away from that centre line. Also, the fixings were 70mm up from the bottom of the shelf. So our first hole needs to be at least 70mm above that line. So what I'm going to do, just for safety, I'm going to come up 75 and then I'm going to go across 195 and mark the first point there. Some of you may be thinking, well, you haven't used the spirit level, and that's fine because it's just a single hole at the moment. I'll show you how we'll use the level in a minute to make sure that the shelf is perfectly level. So now the hole's marked on the wall, next thing to do is to drill our first hole. We're using a 6mm masonry drill because that's the size that the wall plugs that we're going to be using recommend. I'll talk to you about those in a second, but for now, let's start the first hole. This is a plasterboard wall. As you can hear, it's very hollow. Plasterboard's extremely easy to drill in, okay? It's very soft, chalky material, but it does make quite a lot of dust, so it's worth putting an old towel or a cloth down just to catch the dust that falls and make your clean up a little bit easier for afterwards. I recommend you use these universal wall plugs by Fisher. They're designed to give you a really good fixing in plasterboard or brick or block, and so they're a really good choice for the DIYer. So then we push the plug into the hole and tap it home. Our first hole drilled in the wall. Now we're going to fix it using a 40mm wood screw and screw it in about 3/4 of the way. Now, in order to get our shelf level, what we'll do is we'll take our little spirit level, put that on the shelf and hold it so that the bubble is between the two lines. Now I'm using a bradawl here to mark the wall. You could use a screw or a nail. So then we push the plug into the hole and tap it home. Insert the second screw through the shelf and into the hole, and use a screwdriver or drill to tighten them securely. Then go back to the first screw and fully tighten that one. Finally, use a level to double check that your shelf is perfectly straight. So now you've successfully put up your shelf and you can display your prized possessions to your friends and family alike. But what do you do if you can't find a shelf exactly the right size for your needs? If you click here, I'll show you an easy way to make a shelf that you can customize to fit your needs exactly.